Hi, I'm Lena. Today I will present to you how my experience with hackathons, how to prepare, what is the great thing about taking part in a hackathon, and what you will take out of your first Web3 hackathon. And I will share my screen now, and because I prepared a cute presentation for you.
I feel bad that no one else is here. I did see many people signed up.
Yeah. You don't have to feel. I'm fine. I don't know. It's I'm I prepared this. I'm doing this workshop more often, so it's
Okay.
for me my just training. It's, totally fine, and we're recording it, so it's really great.
We'll share it. Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, I feel like something may have gone wrong, or it's very strange that 1 out of 18 people signed up.
Yeah.
Please don't worry. It's really not at all.
So you'll send the recording out later.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I would send a link to the recording out later.
And the presentation, maybe.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So wait, do you want to start the recording?
Oh, it's already recording. I will just cut it later. I will cut the
perfect. Okay, cool. And then I will do this. Okay, cool. So so today I will talk to you about give you an intro into Web3 hackathons, as I already introduced before, I will first give you a short overview of the benefits of taking part in a hackathon. Then I will talk a bit how to best prepare, what you have to consider during the hackathon, and also what a good hackathon project, or how you can create a good hackathon project that will win stuff, or that what is considered a good hackathon project. So first of all, about me, my name is Lena. You can find me on socials, on Telegram, under Gigahertz, and I'm a HerDAO governor. HerDAO is a developer focused DAO for women and non-binary people, and I am currently a governor, and I am also a hackathon and scholarship lead. Originally, I come from an interdisciplinary field of first studying languages and then digital humanities, which is something with computer science, and then I became a front-end engineer, and also since last year I am learning a lot about blockchain development. This year I participated already in 6 hackathons with my team, with my different teams that I was part of. We won over, or around almost really almost 20K in prize money, and more than 16 prizes. So yeah, I also took part in 2 ETH Global Hackathons, which are very famous ones or very established ones, where Vitalik also comes around, has a speech and stuff. So yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. So what can you take out of hackathons, or why I think they are an amazing way of onboarding people? I have been traveling a lot to really empower and motivate people to take part in Web3 hackathons. I think they're also very special, also compared to Web2 hackathons. I think they are a lot of fun. The people there are amazing, and you can really feel that Web3 is right now being built. So there's a lot of creativity and a lot of building going on. And the things that you will get there is you can get great, make a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, also very great networking possibilities, and also just be successful. So about the knowledge, what kind of knowledge will you get in this hackathons? Like, first of all, you will always have like some sponsors for the hackathon, and some of them, they want to get exposure to people that use them. They will want to get feedback on their newest features, so they take part as sponsors in the hackathon. So if you use their technology, you will be able to sign up for a prize, or like try to win a prize that they offer. This will also put you in a position that you will always like learn about the newest developments in Web3 and the newest state of the technology, which is super interesting. Also, when you're at these hackathons, they always provide a lot of mentors. So there are people with a lot of technical knowledge, but also product development knowledge, also how to like best behave during a hackathon. So even if you're like super unexperienced, you can go to someone and they will be able to help you out with any kind of problem that you might have. Also, not only the mentors, but I think what is really beautiful that in my experience, a lot of teams also help each other out when it comes to like using some kind of new technology that is like maybe not, where the documentation is not yet perfect, and there's like not so much competition of like, oh no, I'm not going to help you solve this technical problem, because everybody has another project anyways. So it's it's a really supportive environment, like in general, something that I know from development. So it's really, really cool. And the best thing is actually like, just for onboarding, what I really like is in these 24 to 48 hours, you will just get like in such a short time, such an intense, you will make in like intense jump in your knowledge about like how does a web, like what is important in a Web3 project, like why do you, like, first of all, you will ask yourself like, why does this project has to be Web3? Why does it has to be decentralized, right? Why does it have to take care of privacy and be encrypted? And so you will already get to the essence of what makes a great Web3 project. And you will also learn about how important communities are for community, and community building is for a Web3 project, and also get like a short overview about tokenomics, because if you're building something, you also want to like think about, like, nobody's asking you to develop a crazy business model, right? Or your tokenomics, because that takes a long time. But to just have in mind, like, how will you actually make money? How will stuff be distributed? And how will you also keep users using your app? You will have to like think about all of these things. And the newer you are, the longer it will take you also like maybe to understand, but also it's super fine to just have a very, very, very superficial understanding of what's going on. And that's also why it's great to just bounce your idea off of everybody around, because there are people with incredible knowledge and experience, and you'll have direct access to them, which is, I think, such an amazing chance. And also you will learn how to sell your product. I will come to that later, but it's just very important to also understand that at a hackathon, it's not only about the technical part, but also about how well you are able to sell your project. So yeah, the next topic is, like, as I already said, there are mentors, but there's, in general, like if you, for example, a developer that is quite new, it's a great chance to take part in a project where you have more senior developers, and just like keep learning from them. You will maybe be able to, like, for me, I think conferences and hackathons were also great, because it was one of the first times I met women who are senior devs, and that was really amazing and really inspiring, and really cool to make all of these connections. But also, if you're new, or like if you're looking for a job, I think this is cool, because you are already interacting. Like, I have a friend, she took part in a hackathon, and then after that Polygon offered her a job. And like, if you do a great job solving some kind of technical problem, you might get a job offer after doing that. Also, if you're, for example, a startup founder and you're still looking for someone for your team, like a CTO, or in general, you're just looking for devs, I think also going to hackathons is really a good idea, because you also, in this short amount of time, it's super stressed and just stressful, and you work under pressure. So being in a situation like this will actually already show you who you will be able to work with in a great way or not. Then another thing is also, there's also a lot of investors that come to these hackathons. They're interested in like seeing these young projects, seeing if there's already something interesting, if somebody wants to continue working on this. Sometimes you would also like bring in your startup there and just develop a feature for that. And so yeah, you can also find already investors at a hackathon. And most of all, I think it's a great place to make friends. Like it's so much fun to meet people and you really get to know each other in this time. So I think it's a really, really amazing experience. So, and how does it empower? Like I was traveling with her to 8 different hackathons and conferences in the last month, and I saw so many people like young women that are 23, 24, who, because they won prizes and money and got really good feedback on their project, were thinking about founding their own startup at an age where which is not so typical, because women are normally starting way later than men, to think about founding their own startup and to like be to believe in themselves that they will be able to do so. So I had scholars who already was 23 then and younger were talking to investors, creating business models, developing apps, and just like we're becoming founders through participating in a hackathon. And this is also a pipeline that we really focus on with CERDAO, to like from builders to from developers to builders to founders, and at one point then to investors, and which is one of the great goals that we are investing our time into. And also, if you win at a hackathon, this is not only a project that you can add to your portfolio if you apply for a job, but also if your project wins at a hackathon, investors might contact you, because they will always go through the winning list, and they are very, like, especially for bigger hackathons, and also at small ones, and also saying I won this in this hackathon is something that is super impressive, and will just make you more interesting when you are doing on job search, or in general when you are looking to work on your profile. So, any questions so far?
Not yet.
Okay, cool. Then I will start to talk about how to prepare best for a hackathon. So this is like focused on devs. I would want to say, like, I also do these workshops for non-technical people, and I also very much believe, like, we brought a lot of non-technical people to hackathons. First of all, in the hackathon you will anyway learn so much about the technology, also about technical terms. So if you're a non-technical person, you can have a great idea. Also, like, try to understand, like, if you have a founder, or like if you're an artist, like, how can Web3 benefit you, and like really think about a great idea and try to understand Web3. but here I'm talking about how to prepare for devs. I think the first step would be to check the official website, check out the sponsors and their documentation, and try out some tutorials. This is something where I have to say, if you have the time. If you don't have the time, don't worry. I did it many times without doing that. You will be fine. It will just give you more security, but it doesn't mean you have to do that. I had many also devs who never did anything, had anything to do with Web3, and delivered a great job in their first Web3 hackathon project. And but yeah, I think something to just not know, like 24 or 48 hours is a very short time. So if you want to prepare, you can also already start with organizational things, like reading through the official guidelines, so you know how big your team is, when everything starts, what workshops you want to attend, and yeah, just in general, what kind of project you're allowed to contribute. Some hackathons ask you to not bring some idea that you already created beforehand. And yeah, definitely join the official Discord, because there will be discussions that you maybe on questions asked that you haven't thought about or that you were thinking about, and or you can just post them yourself. I think then if you have never worked with anything Web3, you should, I think what will save you time, or what you should definitely do, would be to install Hardhat and Truffle beforehand. They are like development environments for Web3 applications, like when you want to develop your smart contract and stuff. And also already installed Solidity. And if you're a front-end dev, look at what you will need. And if you're or if you already chosen what kind of tech stack you want to use, maybe already download it. It will just save you some time. And sometimes the internet is not great, even though it should be. And yeah, that's my advice. Then I think in general, do tutorials also for Hardhat and Truffle. If you never used it, it's super easy to use. I think what is also important is how to deploy your smart contract through Infura or Pocket, just like, so you know how that works, because in the end, you want your smart contract to be deployed. But I'll get to this later. And then yeah, just my advice to front-end developers. What will help you be faster during the hackathon is already look up templates, maybe play around with them, download them, look if you get them running, that have like a wallet integration and Vercel and Next.js, because that will help you then to host your website. Yeah, but also I sometimes had problems with Vercel and then didn't work to host, and then you spend too much time on figuring this out. So also sometimes annoying. And what you could also do is practice calling contract functions, because this will be the most important part for you as a front-end dev, because you will have like you will have to be able to interact with the contract, smart contract. There will also be a workshop at ETH Warschau at the first, how to do that, that you should attend, but I will also show you this later. Yeah, how to build a team. This is just a proposition, and this is just an overview about roles that can be taken. Doesn't mean for everything you have to have one person. I once did 3 of these roles or 4 of these roles in one. So in the end, it's just different roles that you should be aware of, that they are necessary. Like you need a front-end developer for your front end. A back-end developer is helping you to do requests. There's a lot of like, you need to you sometimes want to index some data and to access data that was is written in the blockchain. It's useful to have a smart contract developer. I also know of people who just started and in their first hackathon to learn how to write a smart contract, which will also be, you will manage. In the end, you will always manage. And these people can also be the same person. I heard this in a talk from 1inch, and I think it really makes sense. I never did it before, but to have somebody like the person that has the idea, or somebody who presents the idea to the judges, should be really prepared for that. Like, if you take part as a developer in a hackathon, you will probably not sleep the night before, or like only 2-3 hours. This will affect your ability to present. So having somebody on the team who's not a dev, but who is a great great in doing presentation, will be super useful, and I will get to this later why. But it will help. It's good that because this presentation is super important, and it's also important that somebody has the time and takes the time and really tries to be professional when presenting this idea. Product manager doesn't only mean that you have to understand the idea. It also means that you will help your developers if they get stuck. Like I got stuck so many times, and it helped me so much if I had a good product manager on the team who was like, hey, how long have you been working on this? For 2 hours? Okay, that's too long. What help do you need? Okay, what is this? Even if I say, no, I don't need help, they will go look for somebody who can help me with this kind of technology, or will bring somebody, a mentor, to my table to just help me out. And yeah, and then it's also always really great to have like great UI UX design, and also focus on presentation of your website and how it looks. If you do an NFT project, it's amazing to actually have good art there, and not something that you just thought of, or yeah, it will just improve the quality of your project. So what I would advise you to do, or what I do in my experience, at the beginning of the hackathon, I create a Notion page with where I invite everybody from the team. I feel like this is really helpful, because in the Telegram chat, sometimes stuff gets lost. I mean, first of all, create a Telegram group so you can communicate. But especially for later, when you want to create the slides, it's cool to have all the team's information. So to like just collect email addresses, names, maybe an image, and also the wallet addresses and so on. I always like to put the team in the presentation, but that's on you, however you decide. And the most important thing, like all of this, you can do whatever you want. I just advise you to do a Notion page. It's also cool to collect all the resources you use to be later able to understand what you've been doing and get back to it. But the most important thing is actually to discuss how you would distribute your prize money. I think a lot of people, for who it's the first time in a hackathon, they don't expect to win, or it's not their main focus. But then suddenly, once they won something, there's like suddenly super ugly discussion about who worked the most, who deserves more. I always like to distribute it equally, especially if it's people who are new. Even if they might have not done any work, they were trying to learn, and it also encourages them and empowers them a lot to also be rewarded with some money. But I also have teams who distributed about like who spends how much time on the project, and then developers could get more and some people get less. I don't know. That's really on you, but discuss it beforehand, because you will get into a struggle afterwards if you have not discussed it before. So yes, during the hackathon, what I said earlier, don't get stuck. You don't have enough time to get stuck for 3 hours. I always do it, but it really helps if you don't. also really important, don't focus on Web 2 problems. You're there to build something for Web 3. So don't focus on setting up a database, don't focus on creating your front end from the beginning. Use a template for that. Like, fake the database, just create a JSON file. You can fake everything that's Web 2. You don't need to like integrate. For example, one time we had did a hackathon project where I used eHealth data from Fitbit, but it was too complicated to even get the data from Fitbit, and I would have used to have set up a cloud and blah blah blah. And it was my first hackathon, and I went to a mentor and I was like, it's so much, and he was like, why the fuck would you do all of that? You're one person, you will not be able to do all of this. Focus on what's important for your project, what makes your project unique. And I think it's important to remember that this should be your main focus. If you have time, add more stuff, but nobody cares if that's faked or real, right? If you have like a super small data set that you just like produce by yourself, and then you don't really need a database. Also, I always like to present my idea to all sponsors that are there, even though you feel like your project doesn't really fit to them. They probably have good advice for you, can tell you what other technology you could use to improve your project, or they will give you some amazing ideas. It's also it will help you to shape your idea into something that is actually valuable. People will be like, oh, this already exists, or this is an interesting idea for you, but what it really put it over the top, and then you can just collect ideas and create the best one out of it. And in my experience, this is really helpful. As I said, a great presentation is super important. Like, you can do the craziest stuff from a technological point, but if nobody understands what you've been doing, if that's something new, if that's something somebody needs, it doesn't matter, right? You want to have a great presentation, a great pitch. Like, this could be a future project. You want people to remember your idea. It should be like super sharp. You should be like, in 30 seconds you should be able to do like your short pitch. Then you have to like 2 minutes pitch, and then a longer one. But like, really be prepared to also have different pitches for different people that you meet, and you best learn that when you present the idea to as many people as possible. So what makes a great project a great project? So first of all, I think the most important thing is that it's a good idea, a new idea. I think that's most easy if you think about like something, if people come up with something where they feel like this is missing, they were always like looking for it. They're like, the products that exist cannot do what they really need them to do, or they don't even exist. And I think if you have something like that, that's great. That will be a good idea. Then you'll have a great project, right? Also using things from Web 2 that are successful, where you think they would actually be better in Web 3. Great idea, just make it small enough, and also try to put a personal spin on it. So also what's always interesting is the technical realization. What I said earlier, nobody cares about your databases or Web 2 things, but people are interested in you figuring out a new way to do something with a smart contract, or like write a function there, or like bring different technologies together. They always look for partnerships. They always look how it would be used in a real life project. So actually creating use cases where you can use different technologies is that have not yet been partnered with each other, or just also something new. Like, for example, once we created a privacy bridge, like you have bridges that exist, you have like privacy pools in Ethereum, but we created a privacy bridge. So there was like two things that we put together that have not existed like this before. And that was a really cool idea. And yeah, my last advice for that would be to be passionate about your project. If you care about it, you will be able to motivate your team. You will also be able to communicate this to the sponsors. They will see you are interested in continuing it. Like, you don't want to develop something you don't really believe in. And I think, and it's also harder to sell, right? So I sometimes started with a project where I was not the biggest fan of, but I made it my project. Like, I really spent so much time with this project, and I talked to so many people about it until I liked the idea, and it was something I wanted to work with and I wanted to present. And I think that's important, because then they were also very successful and I was able to pitch them very, very great. And yeah, and then you will also be successful with sponsors. About your pitch. Your pitch is not something where you should have a lot of text. Your pitch is not something where you have to explain all the technology you're using. Your pitch is like, you should in your pitch very shortly explain like the problem that you want to solve, then how you solve it. Of course, like, you want to point out what kind of like interesting technological solution you have, but it's normally like 3 minutes. Okay, so you want to like really sell the idea in the first half of that, and then in the second half of this you just want to show your application, and then you can talk like 10 seconds about your team, or I don't know, and or about, I think if somebody is interested in your project, they will ask you for the business plan. You don't have to show that in your pitch. Like, it can be like one mention of like why it would be used. It is also interesting, maybe competitors, but like, don't be excessive. Like, like, it should not be super long, but it needs to be convincing and like well researched. And also about your pitch, I had this with several teams that we had. Sometimes you have very technical people that you present your idea to, but sometimes you have marketing people that you present your idea to. And one time we met somebody who was like, okay, I'm not technical, can you please sell me your idea? And then one person from the team just started explaining the technology, and it was just not well listened to. So also be aware who is in front of you. And I think one important thing I also learned about a pitch is like, if you have a great solution to a problem, ask them like, how do you deal with this? Do you have great solutions for this? Oh, you don't? Well, we have it. And I think that's a good start for a pitch. And yeah, as a little extra, I always like to have like a Twitter account and already start posting about my team and our work and our project. I think it's great to do that, so the sponsors will already like see you, learn about your idea. This will give you also a bit of standing for when you get judged. I also had in my team sometimes mostly non-technical people, but people that were good writers, or had a very good idea of tokenomics. And this is not something that I would put like in my presentation, but I want to think about it. And if there's somebody who is an expert in this or wants to learn about this, they will write a Medium article. And now I didn't write this in this slide, but I will still have to add it. I always create a link tree with all the links to the to my project, to where it's hosted, like the GitHub project, to the website where it's hosted, to the Twitter account, to the, you always want to deploy a smart contract, to the deployed smart contract on Etherscan or on whatever scan where you deploy it. And I will also add this to the slides later. And what else? Yeah, and there you could also add the Medium article. The practical thing about Linktrees is also that sometimes you have to hand in a project at like a certain time at 9 a.m. in the morning. But it will only be judged like at 10. So you already finished everything, but now you need to do the video. So you put like everywhere, like they use a website, like they use different tools like DevPost or Takai or different tools for hackathons. And there you always have, when you do your hackathon submission, you have to add links to your video, to your presentation, and a good workaround is to just add the link to the link tree, and then people can you can still update your presentation or update your video, even though you already submitted it. And then also one thing for the developers, I think it's very important, helpful to document your experience with the documentation and with the technology. A lot of these companies really appreciate your feedback. Sometimes they ask for it. Sometimes there's small bounties about it. And it's just cool if you give them feedback. I think I only heard really good things about that. Yeah, and then I just want to there was my presentation, and then there's this branch that we have for women and non-binary people and allies in the first from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're very excited to see many of you. And then here are also the workshops I was talking about. There's a beginner workshop stage, or and I think all of these workshops are super interesting for someone who is interested in taking part in the in the hackathon. Like you learn about decentralized apps, smart contracts, and blockchain. Like this is an introduction to the fundamentals. Then you have also a workshop about how to write and deploy your first smart contract. Then you learn how to test it, and then you also learn how to build your first decentralized app with Justina. She's doing amazing workshops. It's really helpful, and I would advise many people to go there. And then that was it. And
right.
Okay.
Thank you, Lena. I love your tip with the link tree, so you can sneak in some changes.
Yeah.
Great one.
Yeah, it has proved very helpful many times.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Jeff, do you have any questions?
Yeah, first, thank you so much. That was, very helpful in so many ways, and I really appreciate it. One thing that came to mind is just finding a team. If you don't have one already, I'm already on the Discord, the Telegram group. I've reached out to a few people that, mentioned a team, like they had one, and then I reached out and they said they're like full. I've tried to be proactive in like that way as far as reaching out to people. My background, I'm on the investor side, actually. I know some SQL, but I'm not a programmer, unfortunately, but I was still accepted, and I feel like I know Web3 technology very well, especially ZK technology, and looking to contribute, but yeah, don't have a team yet.
Yeah. So I think this is something where you also don't have to worry if you don't have a team yet, if the hackathon starts. Many teams are only formed when the hackathon starts. I think it's very hard to find a team online. I know especially people who are new struggle with that, people who don't have that much experience. And for that, I normally always organize
on site.
a workshop just for women who, or like for people who are new, so they can like, I don't know if each Russia is offering this, but what I always do is to get everybody together who doesn't have a team yet when the hackathon starts, and let them all introduce each themselves, what their skill set is, what if they have an idea for a project, and like this, most of the time teams are just formed naturally, and I think maybe somebody can lead a workshop like this for East Warsaw, but also if you are there and you haven't found a team yet and there's no workshop like this, just go from team to team. I think this is hard and a bit annoying, but in the end, I saw people always finding their team, and almost people, and it will it's just easier to find it in person. But you can already I don't know if applications for the hackathon are still open, but you can also just like go to the conference and like just tell people like, hey, do you want to like do a hackathon team with me? But my question to you is, do you have an idea?
No, I'm already accepted to hackathon.
Yeah.
So I'm already, going, and as far as like, I don't have an idea. That idea you had with the privacy bridge was pretty cool. I think Aztec Connect has solved that now, I think, maybe, right?
Yeah.
But no, I don't have an idea, but it's something I'll definitely think about, now that I kind of understand how everything works.
Yeah, I think going in with an idea and then finding people to join your team, if you have a specific idea, is because in my experience, there's always a lot of devs who are a bit lost and they want to like get the experience, but they don't have an idea. Or then you have people who have an idea. I mean, it's practical to have an idea, but then also be open to just be like, whatever, I love your idea, I will work with you on that idea. I will do my idea next time. So, but I think it's not bad to have your own idea. I think it will also like give you practice in like forming this idea, and like what kind of ideas work, what not, and yeah, I mean, if you have very, very good understanding of SQL knowledge, ZK zero knowledge proof. It was like ZK knowledge. It's a bit double. I think you can be a great asset to any team, especially as this is like more and more important. And also, I think actually for most application, it would always be super interesting to have this zero knowledge aspect, or like included. And I don't know if there's like any sponsors that focus on that. I don't know.
Yeah, there are. I mean, Scroll is going to be there. Matter Labs, Starkware. Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah.
Starkware is also, yeah. I think then just and just be like, hey, I don't know, do you also want to do some development? Or like, because if you don't want to do development, it's also important to understand like how far and how much you can contribute to a team, right? So if you have the idea, you can contribute a lot to the team, because it's great if the person that has the idea doesn't have to program, but can just has a great understanding of the problem, will be able to communicate this to all the sponsors, and will also be able to communicate this to the developers. Yeah.
Is there, since you've done so many hackathons, is there like, just to have a sense of like the type of ideas that people come up with for these, 24 to 48 hour, marathons, like, what kind of ideas like we're talking about, just like as a benchmark? Is that reasonable to understand better?
I think so. I think that what kind of ideas? I feel like what I've observed is also a change in ideas, or what I bring with the people that I bring to the hackathons is sometimes ideas that are more real life applications, like, because I feel like hackathons have been very, very technical, and also Web3 has been very technical, where just technology, like another DeFi project has been built on another DeFi project, and then everybody's just yielding off of everybody, and you're just like, wow, okay, this is so complex, and I also don't know why this is go. And I think it is what kind of ideas. I think if it can be everything, it can be some super technical thing where you can be like, hey, I'm gonna do a privacy bridge that is like not where you're like, okay, this is just technical and has DeFi, right? Or you can be like, hey, I want to do Airbnb in Web3. Of course, like it doesn't, it's, I think this is a bit risky to take something so big and then create something like that out of it. Like, for example, we once did glass doors, but we did it with a focus on female safety or something.
Because it needs to be like a, you know, a concise idea to like sort of finish in like, you know, 48 hours max, right?
Exactly. So I think that's also important why you do this ideation with your team. Don't go to, like, it's very important to have a big idea, but as soon as you have the big idea, focus on what is the smallest possible thing to do. Like don't go big and then go the smallest you can be, and when you present you can be like, this could also be used for this and this and this and this and this, you know. But you just want to do one smart contract, just like, if you manage, it's great if you can call 3 of the functions from your smart contract, but if you only call one function from your smart contract, it's already great. If you want to I don't know, we had apps about sponsor, like, that were thinking of how to create Web3 projects that support women with reproductive rights, and you can do everything. You can go crazy political because like for that you also need, like, for everything that has to do with NGOs, you can use Web3, right? So I think sometimes with these political ideas, or the technical solution will be a bit easier. So you want to do it good and then solve it, that everything works, right? There you kind of have an existing project. If you just do a technical solution, it doesn't have to like all fit together yet. Sometimes you can just be like, the single parts work and not everything yet works. Like it's together, right? So I think everything you can do a very, very simple smart contract if you have a very great idea of how to include Web3 into something. But then it has to be a very good idea, and hopefully also a good user interface. So somebody is like, oh yeah, I would use that app, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, past hackathons, do they like have, you know, like a resource on GitHub or somewhere just where they're going through?
Yeah, of course. You can,
so I get a sense of the ideas, you know?
You can, for example, go to dev post. You can go to, wait.
Okay.
Let me see.
I'm finally not walking.
Sorry, I need to look something. I don't know. Yeah, I skipped. There's like different pages that are used for hackathons. I always forget the one name of this one, but like if you look for them, like pages for hackathons, you will find it, and then you can just look at hackathon. What you can also do is East Global. East Global is like the champion of hackathons. So if you go into their past projects and see who are winners, you will, I think you can learn a lot.
Understand it better. Yeah, I think that's especially important for me to just check out, just because this is my first one, like having no frame of reference of like anything. So yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. Well,